I just picked up this boat from Facebook Marketplace for $14,000 down here in southern Florida. She's a bit of a project boat, but we're getting her ready for some long offshore cruising, but the main goal is getting over to the Bahamas. So follow along. We definitely got some work to do. A lot of work's already been done, but let's get this thing ready to go, take her on some test drives, and get out to some bright blue water out in the Bahamas. Well, welcome to the channel. My name is Brandon Gross. I've been living full-time on the road for the last 6 years in a converted school bus, ambulance, minivan. This past summer, I spent on a 31-foot cabin cruiser up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The boating season came to an end because of the weather, and I moved down here to Florida and just picked up the Robalo. I've been doing a ton of work to this thing. When I initially bought it, the starboard side motor was not firing up. It was due to a throttle issue, so I tore the throttles apart, got those all taken care of, and got the motor to fire up. I did a compression test, everything came back great. I fixed one of the trim tabs, I replaced the oil in the lower units on both motors, the fuel water separators. I found an issue in the bilge where there was a leak, so I closed the seacock, got that a little bit taken care of, postponed for now. I diagnosed a ton of electrical issues and tore the entire dash apart, traced wires forever, and finally got all of the gauges reading on the Garmin on the vessel view up on the dash. I also took out all of the thermostats. I'm waiting to get some new ones in. These ones are a little bit bad, but they're working for right now. I replaced all of the spark plugs and wires. And on a recent trip that I just took, I was getting a 4 beep code on the ignition. It wasn't showing up any codes on the vessel view because it doesn't have the ability to do that. I did a little bit of research, as well as a lot of you guys that watch this channel let me know that it's an oil related code. So I looked into it. I saw that both of the reservoirs inside, the larger reservoirs of the oil, were super low. So I topped both of those off, and I haven't taken it out since. I'm gonna fire up both the motors just on a hose right now and see if I'm still getting that code. Hopefully that took care of it. If not, I gotta investigate a little bit further. Let's lower these motors and fire them up. So close. It's been a few days since this thing's fired up. So far, no beeps. I'll let it run for a little bit longer and make sure we're good. But I'm 99% sure that's all it was just a low oil beeping code. So hopefully we're good. Okay, I just put it in drive. It sounds very bad. I think that's really bad. I don't know though. I am no boat mechanic by any means at all, but that sounded like the lower unit is in trouble. I'm gonna start the other one up. Maybe it's a normal sound. It sure does not sound healthy whatsoever. It sounds like terrible. Let's hook up the other one though. Let's kick this one in gear and see what happens. There's some similar noise, but it's not as bad as the other one. I mean, the good thing is that I think the oil issue is taken care of, but now I'm really terrified I might need an entire new lower unit, which are freaking expensive. I haven't priced them for this, but everyone I've ever talked to is like, very expensive. Okay, that one's doing the exact same thing. So please pray for me that I don't need 2 lower units. Let's hope that since they're both doing it, that's what they're supposed to do and supposed to sound like. But oh boy, I'll be so screwed on this boat if they both need lower units. But no beeps, thank goodness. Oh boy. Well, it turns out all the awful noises coming from my lower units is apparently a thing called prop chatter. That's a normal thing. I think mine are a little bit excessively loud, but all it is the hub assembly inside of there. From everything I've seen, it seems to be a normal thing, especially with the Optimaxes. They have a few different options of upgraded hubs that are actually not even that expensive, so I might swap mine out. They basically just have like 2-piece rubber sleeves or something, just something that kind of absorbs all of that, kind of just eliminates the prop chatter. So that I don't think I need to be worried about anymore, thank goodness. But check these out. I've wanted these for a really long time. Heavy duty ratchet straps that are retractable. So you just like push a button and it like sucks them back up in. I can get rid of this big ghetto strap that we got going on, and I'll be able to hopefully go from here down. I mean, it still might kind of, I don't know if it's gonna work actually. It might hit into these, but I'm gonna try that. A freaking trim tab. I don't know, the straps are pretty cool. This sucks, this thing's just in a bad spot. Yeah, solution. From here, straight around, and down to the actual hook. Finally done with this stupid thing. Right, the next thing on the list, upgraded batteries. Big thank you to EPOCH Batteries for sponsoring today's video and sending out these bad boys. All right, check these things out. I've been looking around for some lithium batteries to replace the old lead acid batteries I got in this thing, but all the lithium ones that I've seen are not good for cranking, starting motors. And these ones by EPOCH Batteries are dual purpose, so they're cranking and deep cycle. 1536 watt hours, 120 amp hours, and they should direct swap with mine. So I'm excited to see how these work. I'm curious if they're gonna still crank super hard, or maybe they might be lacking in that department. But either way, they should definitely last a lot longer than these old lead acid that I got. So let's swap these puppies out. Gotta get back in here and get these guys out. Not excited for this part. Freaking mess down in here. Look at this. I don't know. I'm hoping this is just water, not like battery acid, but it's also in this one, or yeah, this one too. So out with the old, in with the new boys. All right, I just dumped an alarming amount of battery acid out of both of these. Sprayed them out, cleaned them, and these things, at least one of them definitely, I mean, I guess it's both since it was in both of them, but yeah, they're leaking battery acid. Batteries aren't even that old. I was debating on not even swapping these out. Very glad that I am. July of last year, May of this year, and they're leaking like crazy. I don't know why, or I don't know. Don't care. All I know is I got some nice new ones to throw in instead. I got the batteries installed, but these are the bolts that come with them, and I have too many things that go on the terminals. These bolts are too short to go through all of them. The right way to do it is put these on, run one wire over to like a terminal block with all the positives, all the negatives, and then run everything off nice and neat. But I don't have that in me, and I'm not gonna go order those things and wait for those. I'm literally just gonna run to the store, get larger bolts, plop them in there, and call it good. It is crazy hot today. It's actually been really chilly here in Florida recently, but now sweating. 45 minutes later, got the hardware. So these are the ones that came with them. These are the ones that I'm gonna use, so I have enough space to put everything on the terminals. And like I said, I know this is not the proper way to do it, but for now, it's gonna do the job. But that took a lot longer than I thought. Mainly because of the location of the batteries. They're so far back in there and it's so hard to do anything. I'm just laying on that uncomfortable hatch the whole time. They're officially installed. They're bolted down to the floor and got everything wired back up to it. They're connected together so they'll be able to talk to each other. Got to figure that out. I think there's like an app where I can just monitor the batteries via my phone. We'll see how they perform. I'm pretty excited to have cranking and deep cycle marine batteries, but that'll be later in this video when we go out and actually do a test drive. We'll see how them puppies do, but I'm dying out here. One of the most important things I need to know about my boat for my trip to the Bahamas that I'm planning is how much fuel do I have? And right now I have no working fuel gauge. There's no digital gauge anywhere that's in the system, like a flow sensor that's hooked up to my Garmin or the vessel view. So I pulled the Garmin out. I found back in here are all of the old analog gauges that still work. So I turned the keys on, the fuel gauge wasn't reading anything. So then I came back here. I took these two leads off of the sending unit and I connected them together, came back up front, and the fuel gauge read full. So the gauge works, the wiring's all good. It's just, I believe the sending unit is bad. Also, I can't be looking at analog gauges that are hidden back in there. So I pulled the fuel gauge out. I'm extending the wires on it so I can run it somewhere else and mount it somewhere so I can still see it. Leaving myself just a bunch of wire to figure out where exactly I'm gonna put it. I started drilling a hole here. I might put it here, but I didn't realize how thick that was, and I don't have the right size drill bit for something this size. I might fit it there eventually, or I might just plug that hole that I just drilled, and I might just temporarily mount it somewhere with a zip tie just so I at least can see it. I have 3 more wires I need to extend from back in there to the gauge and then route them wherever it's gonna go. And right now, I have been battling getting out all these nuts, which I just finally got them all out. There was 2 bolts here. The heads of both of those just snapped off, so I'm trying to be cautious. I've been spraying this all with PB Blaster. I got all these bolts out, and I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit and try to pull that thing out of there and go grab another one, throw it in, and then I should have working fuel gauge. It's kind of weird it'll be a little analog gauge when everything else is digital on this thing, but at least I'll be able to know how much fuel I have, and that is very important to know when going way offshore like how I want to. Whoa. If that's correct, that means I have a completely full gas tank, which means I have 180 gallons of fuel right now, which is pretty awesome. I mean, that's $700 that you're looking at right there. Wow, I did not realize that. I've only put in like 50 bucks here and there, like I think 2 or 3 times. So the fact that there is allegedly $700 of fuel sitting below me, that's awesome. Great win. Everything on the bottom part looks like it's great and in good condition, but this top plastic is all cracked and destroyed. But I just put my meter on those 2 inputs or outputs, whatever. I was reading just open load, so I think this thing is fried. I mean, it looks like it's pretty destroyed, so gotta grab a new sending unit. All right, I got the dash all put back together, and I did go ahead and mount fuel gauge right here. I didn't have the right size hole saw to drill the hole, so out of complete laziness of not wanting to go to the store and get the right size, I just drilled a bunch of little tiny holes and kind of just like warbled it all out. And up close it looks really bad. From far away right here, not so bad. But yeah, if you get up close, it doesn't look great. It's a little ugly, but the boat's 30 years old, whatever. I extended 5 wires from where the gauge was down there. It's all wired up. So literally in a couple days, whenever my new sending unit comes, I'll install that. But next thing on the list, I want to investigate, and I will take your guys' help as well, because I'm not sure. I fixed an issue, but I don't know what I fixed. So a few days ago, a guy named Eric messaged me on Instagram and offered to come out on my boat and kind of teach me a lot about navigating the waters down here and a lot of questions. I just had so many questions that were too hard to ask people online. So he came out with me, we went out for a couple hours, and he gave me a lot of useful knowledge. So huge thank you to Eric. Appreciate you coming out with me. And during our couple hours we were out, I was going full throttle for a little bit, and when I was backing off the throttle for a no wake zone that was coming up, the starboard side motor died and it would not fire back up no matter what I was doing. I had it in neutral, everything was good, but it just would not fire up. So I had him hitting the ignition while I was back here while we were out on the water. But right here you see the fuel rail, right? And then right here is a hose of, I don't know if it's a vacuum line or what exactly it is. I know there's a big air compressor on these things. I believe that's this right here. And I know a lot of stuff runs off of that, and it's very, very crucial to the motor. I looked, and when he was cranking it, I could hear air, and I found out that this hose got blown off. I don't know if there was a loose hose clamp and it just blew off or what, but I didn't see a hose clamp, so luckily I had some with me. I popped this back on, clamped it down, and the motor fired up great, and it was running great the rest of the day. I pulled this side off the other day just to look at it and make sure everything's the same, but I just don't understand what this airline actually does. I don't know why there's air going into the fuel rail. I'm learning a lot of things, but I don't know. So if you guys do understand this stuff, let me know why there is an airline from the compressor going to the fuel rail. But either way, that was a simple fix. Next thing on my list, getting these little filters off. I'm gonna try to replace these. Once I get that sending unit, I'm gonna go back out for another test drive, make sure everything's working great. Few more short test drives, and I think I'll be ready to take the risk of going across the Gulf Stream over to the Bahamas. I gotta do as much prep work as I can. I'm also going to remove this hatch again. Still never silicone that back down after I took it apart. Once I get the boat in the water again, I wanna stick my head down in there and make sure there's no water coming in from any other places. I wanna make sure that's nice and good, because the sea strainer was leaking like crazy for the live well. I shut the seacock, but I think the seacock might actually be leaking too. And we got another issue. The power steering actuator is leaking. So you can see there's fluid down here. So I got to replace this entire thing. Whether I'm gonna do that before I go to the Bahamas or not, I'm not sure. We'll see. Either way, I'm still chugging along and trying to iron out all of these little issues before we go offshore. It is almost a week later since the last clip that you saw. I got the flu or something. I was dying, sick in bed every single day, and it was driving me nuts because I couldn't use the boat. I couldn't go out and do anything. I was basically just sleeping all day, sleeping all night, sweating profusely, and gnarly headaches. It was awful. But many, many days ago, my new sending unit came in. Going to put that together. I also got the fuel filters for the motors. Get those on, get the sending unit in, make sure the sending unit works on the gauge, and then let's take the boat out and rip a nice little test drive. Alrighty, let's go through the bushes. My power steering leak is not looking great. It's another thing I really gotta get fixed ASAP. The tank is 18 inches deep, which means we need to set the new sending unit to 17.5 inches. 17.5 inches. Well, the new sending unit's installed. Of course, we ran into issues. The 5-bolt pattern didn't perfectly line up with my tank's 5-bolt patterns. I had to take this, mark a couple holes, and I had to kind of just extend the holes a little bit, just ever so slightly. It was like half a hole length over. And then this bolt here stripped out, of course, when I went to go put it in. I barely even put any pressure on it, and it stripped out through some marine silicone under there, and it's wedged in there pretty staunch, I would say, because there's a big gasket under this, and it's really thick, so the holes on that are small. Siliconed through there, put the bolt down in, screwed it in the best I could. It's not gonna come out. And the other 4 are in there very tight. So, of course, issues as usual. The gauge is working, and now I just gotta throw those fuel filters on. I got a crazy headache. It's this guy right here. I've been struggling to try to get it off. This is too big. Gotta be kidding me. My tool's too big. I bought this one that just kind of like wraps all the way around it, cranks on it, and I was cranking on it and it was literally denting the side of the filter. So I need to go get another one of these that's a little bit smaller, and hopefully that will work. I'm guessing whoever put these on didn't put oil on the gaskets whenever they sealed it, and then they probably just cranked it too tight, and now it's just probably crusted on there. They live another day. Test drive time. We just pulled up to Haulover, my favorite boat ramp that I've been to so far, because it's like incredibly not steep at all. It's so easy to launch here. And I'm doing it solo today, so let's see how this goes. I'm gonna leave this on for right now, back it in, I'll grab my ropes and try to figure it out as I go. Not too bad, other than the pulpit was getting stuck, caught up on the roller for the strap. And of course, the one time I'm solo, this is the most busy I've seen this ramp. But that went really smooth. We'll see how it goes when I need to get it back on the trailer. That's the harder part. Look at this monster coming in. Look at the size of it compared to that dually. Jeez. Already water in the bilge. I don't know if that was just sitting in there while I was trailering it or what. I don't see it actively coming in anywhere. Well, let's get out there though. Can't believe this. People were like casually trailering 37-foot boats. Ridiculous. And this Intrepid, I don't even know how big that one was. Back where I'm from, trailering a little 18 to 20-foot boat is normal, not 37 freaking foot boats with 3 400s on the back of it. There's a lot going on. Launching a boat solo, filming solo. I got 2 GoPros going at the same time, trying to manage those while also not getting in everybody's way and doing this smoothly. But honestly, it was like quite stress-free. Very surprising. Run and grab the other GoPro. And I forgot I bought my stuff up front too. Gotta get situated out here. Damn it. Got my water. Gorgeous out here. All right, check it out. There's a whole squad of them over there. Good old Raccoon Island. Gotta come down to no wake speed to go underneath the bridge, and then we can go fast again. But only when we go to the left, I found out. The bend back there was so incredible, just seeing the entire skyline of Miami right here. This is all uncharted territory. I haven't been out here. This is just incredible. I wish I could bring all of you guys here right now so you could see this. This is just epic, 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 epic. Gosh. I've been lucky enough to be staying behind boats that are on planes, so it's really easy to tell where I can go fast and where I can't go fast because the signs are just so damn confusing. But the last boat I was following just turned off, so now I'm pulling over to this sign right here just to read it, see what it says. I also don't know where it's. I'm in a channel right now, but I want to know, like, can I just cruise all the way out there? Like, can I go straight to the city? I don't know, probably not. Probably like a foot deep out there somewhere. But this sign says 30 miles an hour in Meloy channel, 35 miles east of the channel. All right, cool. Sounds like I'm still in a go fast zone. Well, I mean, test run is going pretty great so far. I mainly just wanted to get some hours on these motors, and it's exactly what I'm doing. We're both peeing pretty good. And just, oh, I can't get over this view. It's just insanity. I went pretty freaking far. I got, here's the haul over launch ramp right there. So I came out, went over under the bridge, all the way along here, been staying along the shore, and right there. I say we keep cruising, why not? Or do I bust the drone out? Bust the drone out for sunset, yep. I got some editing to do, but we have another challenge in this video, and that is getting this thing on the boat by myself. Might be interesting. Pulling back into Haulover right now. Really not a big fan of boating at nighttime. I cannot see anything. There's a massive, probably 70, 80 foot boat going right behind me right now. I was coming kind of like head on with them and almost couldn't see them at all. It's very strange. I don't know. I don't like the idea of like 50-ton boats out here just cruising around and they're kind of like pitch black. I can't see anything. And then there's all the navigational markers and pylons everywhere. And I'm like, I don't know. I keep these blue lights off when I'm cruising at night just so I can see a little bit better, but still, it's tough. Pulling in right now. I'm gonna look on the Garmin and see how many miles we just did. Compare it to the 45 to 50 that it is to get over to Bimini. No hiccups on the motors. Everything went great. And I gotta stop talking now because I'm pulling up to the dock and I gotta use all my brain power. Step one, tied up. Easiest part. Successfully pulled out. It was a little bit tricky, but I am pretty freaking happy with these new lithium batteries. I was concerned how they were gonna crank, since I know lithium batteries are more so, at least in my eyes, they're just made for like long lasting batteries. These things cranked these motors over much better than my other batteries did. Dual purpose lithium batteries. I'll definitely update after a couple months of use with these things and see if they handle all the abuse I throw at them. At least day one, I gotta say, they're pretty great. And the dual purpose cranking and deep cycle is so ideal for what I need on this boat. Definitely check out EPOCH Batteries, link in the description of the video. Guess what? We got another issue. This one not looking good. So my truck was parked over there and I remote started it as I was going over so I could check on all the trailer lights so they were flashing, obviously when I was hitting the lock and unlock buttons and start buttons. And I come over and I noticed some sparks and smoke. So I immediately unplugged it, but coming from here somewhere, there was literally an entire ember, like it was about to catch on fire, and it was actually smoking and about to be a freaking flame out of this. So I got an issue with the wiring on my trailer. One more problem added to the books. Story of boat life. I don't know what I'm gonna do because I gotta get this thing home and I don't want to plug it in because it's gonna start burning up again. So I'm gonna unravel all that tape. And luckily nobody's here. I can just hang out. Sorry, this generator is annoying, but let me throw these straps on and I gotta start investigating this now. Found this connection right here, but look at, it's hard to see. This wire's burnt all the way through. I don't know what caused that, but this is definitely where the main issue is. Well, at least the fire was about to come from. I just don't know what's shorted out or what's grounded or not grounded or shorted or open, or something's wrong somewhere in the wiring, and that's annoying. Now I gotta find that. Let's see what happens when I plug it in again. I separated the wire apart, the broken one. Trying to see if any of them feel like they're hot. Maybe that's all I gotta do is splice this together and we can be all happy, but who knows? None of the other ones feel warm at all, so that's good. The truck has this little setting where it will cycle through left turn signal, right turn signal, brakes, and just running lights. So it's left. The right one does not work. I hate trailer lights. I hate them. Okay, so I have no right turn signal. I kind of have brake lights. Whatever. I got a little bit of something, so I'm gonna just let that alone until I get home, and I'll try to fix it in the morning. The other issue that we had today that I didn't really mention was the steering is starting to get pretty brutal. It's starting to feel very rough, so I really do need to get the steering actuator replaced, or at least just top off all the power steering fluid. Oh, there's another issue. My thermostats, I believe, are stuck in the open position or something. I'm not exactly sure, but they're definitely not functioning properly, because whenever I get going, like anything above idling speed, the engines are running at like 90 to 100 degrees, which is definitely too cool. They should be running around 140, 150, something like that. And whenever I'm cruising idle speed or like real slow, no wake speed, they get up to 145, 150, they stay there. And then as soon as I start going, they drop down to like 100 degrees or 90 degrees or less, which is crazy. I mean, I think they're just getting way too much coolant, and I think that the thermostats need to shut to allow the motor to heat up a little bit, and I think that they're just stuck in the open position. That's what I've just diagnosed in my head. I believe that's correct. So I need to get thermostats, I need to get a power steering actuator, or just top off my power steering fluid to delay it a little bit more. And now I gotta fix this trailer wiring situation. But overall, I will say that the day was a win. This video has been over the course of 2 weeks because of my sickness and all the tedious work that I've had to do, but I appreciate you guys watching. I'm loving all the support from you guys. Check out the merch. It's at explorewithbrandon.com. Grab yourself a t-shirt or a hoodie. It's a great way to help support the channel, and all of the funds go straight back into issues like what I've had today. If you're liking the boat content, stick around. There's plenty more to come. We're gonna be going out to the Bahamas. I realized I went 20 miles round trip today, and the Bahamas is like 45, 50 miles one way, so I basically did half of the one-way journey there today and didn't really have many major issues. So I'm gaining a lot more confidence. I think I'm actually gonna be going to the Bahamas a lot sooner than I thought. I think at this point, I just need to wait for a good weather window. Wait for a day where it's like smooth as can be. I'm not trying to get beaten up for 2 hours crossing the Gulf Stream. And this time of year, it's not the best time to be finding nice calm seas over there. So I'm just gonna keep my eye out on the weather and wait for a nice day and just rip out there. But I think before that, we should go down to the Keys. There's also some gorgeous places down there. I have a few saved on some maps that I've been looking up, so stick around. Love you guys, and let's keep learning this Florida boat life. All right, I'll see you guys for the next one.